I'm in El Dorado Park today because I'm going to be taking a look at a couple of broadheads and a new foam target that I purchased. So I came out here to test where these two new broadheads that I purchased are going to hit in relation to where my field points are hitting the target. The first broadhead we're going to be looking at is the Rage No Collar. That's a mechanical broadhead, and the other one is the Montec G5 M3. It's the newer version, which has the solid kind of broadhead. It doesn't have the holes in it like the original M5 or G5. Both of these broadheads that we're going to be looking at today are both 100 grain, which is the same number of grains as my field points. But just because they're the same weight doesn't mean that they're going to hit the target in the same exact spot. So I would definitely recommend, if you are going to be switching to broadheads to, shoot at animals, turkeys, whatever it is, that you at least take a couple of practice shots. That way you know where these broadheads are going to hit. That way you can take the most humane shot possible. So this is the target that I'm using today to shoot my broadheads at. You can see it's the Black Hole. I bought this off of Amazon. I believe it was $40 shipped, which is a pretty good price. It's just kind of like this real thin layers of foam all smashed in together. There's a piece of wood on top, a piece of wood on bottom, and then it's wrapped in this, I don't know, whatever type of material this is. You can see here, if you're going to be shooting field tips at it, you're going to shoot at this side. You're not going to shoot at the top, and you can shoot at this side as well. You're not supposed to shoot at the top or the bottom. If you're going to be using broadheads, you're going to be shooting into the black part here. And you can see there's nothing printed on the back, so pretty much most of your shots are going to go through this side. You do want to kind of be careful about how many shots you take on it. If you're just plugging this hole in the center all the time, your arrows are most likely going to start going through almost every shot. So, spread your shots out. I wouldn't say this is a very long-term target. I mean, it's good enough just to kind of get a feel of where your broadheads are going to land. You're not going to be taking a lot of shots with broadheads at this thing. I haven't taken a lot of shots with it at field points. I have taken some. You can see we've got a couple of small holes here, but the more you rip these sides up, the more likely is this thing's just going to fall apart. I wouldn't leave this outdoors. I know it's all plastic or oil-based products, except for the wood, of course, but definitely you want to be very gentle with this thing. So like I said, I would definitely recommend, if you are going to go hunting and you're going to be using broadheads and you've never shot them at anything before, definitely get out. You could buy a target like this, 40 bucks. It's pretty cheap. It's it's not going to last you very long. You might be able to get maybe 300-400 shots on it before it really starts to fall apart. But it's going to work, and it's going to stop your arrows for the most part. I've already had a couple of pass-throughs, but that's at 20 yards. So there's a lot of force going through those arrows at 20 yards. At about 20 yards, this is about how much pass-through I'm getting. This one here, you can see it on the front. That's this one here. That one went pretty much all the way into the fletchings. These two and these are probably about average, as long as you hit like a relatively hard spot. But you can see how far, let's flip this around, put you in the sunlight. You can see right there about how far they're going to pass through. That's at 20 yards, shooting at about 65 pounds of draw weight. The thing I would recommend is when you're pulling these arrows, if you were to pull it back through the front of the face, you're going to be taking more of that foam out. So what I typically do is I pull the arrows all the way through this way, and as I pull them, I spin them so that the fletchings will kind of spin with the way the broadhead cut through, and it pulls out just like that. Turn them kind of counterclockwise, nice and easy. I haven't had a problem yet with the fletchings coming off. So we're going to shoot a couple at the side right here, so you can kind of get an idea of how accurately I can shoot, and then we'll do a couple of these, and then we'll switch over to the broadheads. Okay, so now we're going to be shooting the Montec M3s. I did turn the target, so we're looking at the front of the target now, the black side of the target. On the one side, it does have 4 small circles and the one bullseye circle in the middle. I'm going to aim at these small circles. We're going to shoot, at least 3 or 4 ends, just so I can get kind of an overall view of where these arrows are going to land. Distance-wise, I think they're going to do pretty good. I think it's just a matter of right or left. One other thing I will say too is, when you're shooting field points, The only thing that's influencing the spin of your arrow is your fletchings back here. If you don't know, when you shoot these arrows, they're spinning, I believe, clockwise. Depends on which way you have the bend in your fletching. But as soon as you put something like a broadhead on here that has, multiple wings, it's almost like you're putting fletchings on the front of it. So that's going to affect your flight path as well. So far it looks like the shots I've taken with the Montec broadheads, they're landing about 2 inches to the right, maybe about 1 inch low. So I'm gonna aim at the 10 o'clock position of the white circles, see if we can get inside the white, and would most likely be a kill shot on a turkey. So that first shot completely went through the target in the upper left-hand corner. I'll show you on screen what that looked like. It was definitely going through the white. It did go out the back of the target, maybe 6 or 7 feet, and landed on the grass. So we'll take 2 more shots at 20 yards and see if we can keep them in the white. Yep. Yeah, it seems about at 20 yards, about 2 inches to the right and maybe about 1 inch low. So like I said, aiming at that 10 o'clock position on that white circle. We're gonna shoot 30 yards with the Montec M3s. Gonna aim pretty much the same spot at that 10 o'clock position on those white circles, and we'll see where we land at 30 yards. You can see we've got our last end here, the last 3 arrows. This one I pulled just a little bit to the left, but this one was inside the circle, and this one was just a little bit high. So you can see that, at 30 yards, they are going a little bit farther to the right. Like I was aiming a little bit farther to the left than I was at 20 yards. So, I don't know how long of a shot you're gonna take at a turkey. It's a pretty small kill zone for a turkey. 30 yards would probably be about my maximum. If I can hit inside that white circle at 30 yards with these broadheads, I'm happy with that. If you are gonna be using them for a larger game animal and you're taking maybe a longer shot, maybe at 40 or 50 yards, you may have to tune these arrows to your bow a little bit more, meaning something like moving your arrow rest left or right, depending on which video you watch. I don't want to move my arrow rest left or right because I'm pretty much dialed in with my field points, and that's where I'm trying to be most accurate. I'm taking the most shots with that here at the range, and it's some 3D events coming up in the future. So don't want to do that. But if I know I only have to be like a inch higher and maybe 2 inches to the left at 20 yards, and maybe just a little bit more farther than that at 30 yards, I'm pretty good with that. So now we're going to be shooting the Rage no collars. We're at 20 yards shooting at our foam target. Yeah, let's just see how it goes. Pretty good so far with the Rage no collars. Pretty accurate as far as left and right, maybe just a touch low. So I'm going to aim a little bit higher and see what we can get. But the Rage broadheads were super accurate. As far as I could tell on my really good shots, they were left and right. They were perfectly, or at least within a ½ inch of center. A couple of times here and there, they would be maybe a ½ inch low, but that's more user error than actual, mechanical or anything that has to do with the broadhead itself. So super accurate at 20, 30, even 40 yards. At 40 yards, I hit a couple of bullseyes in the center of the target. So no worry about those Rage no collars at all. The Montec G5 M3 broadheads, the fixed broadheads, those were a little less accurate. Those were at 20 yards, I was about like an inch low and about 2 inches to the right. So then at 30 yards was about a ½ inch more, and I didn't go out to 40 yards with those broadheads because I would only be using those on turkeys, and I'm not going to take a shot on a turkey at probably more than about 30 yards just because that kill zone is so small. So overall, really happy with the results that I got from these broadheads. I could dial in those G3s a little bit, like if I wanted to move my arrow rest to the left or to the right, depends on who you listen to about that. But I've got my field points hitting, you know, really good on center. As you saw, the rage no callers were pretty good straight up and down. I mean, you know, left and right, they were pretty accurate. So I'm not gonna worry about that. You know, when I do go for a turkey in a couple of days, I'm just gonna have to aim, you know, just a little bit higher and to the left to hit that kill shot. Remember all three things that we talked about today: the Montec G5 M3 fixed 3-bladed broadheads, the rage no collars, and the black hole target. I'm going to have affiliate links for all three of those items down in the description. If you want to purchase any of those items, click on those links. They'll take you directly to Amazon, and then Amazon will kick me back a couple of cents for every time one of you guys purchases one of those items. Thank you so much for watching. Like I said, this wasn't like a really in-depth review. I just wanted to show you what my results would be using these broadheads. I don't claim to be an expert. You know, like I said, I've only been doing archery for about 4 months now. But you can see, you know, with the field points at 20, 30, and 40, I'm within that 2-inch circle. So getting similar results out of the rage no collar was, you know, it's a pretty good example of an infield test. One last thing you can do for me, hit that like button, share, comment, definitely subscribe to the channel if you're not already subscribed. Click that notification bell so you do get notified of any upcoming videos. And the last thing you can do to help support the channel is click on one of the boxes in the corners. One to take you to a recent video, another to a favorite video, and you can click that logo over there, the Urban Outdoorsman SoCal logo, to subscribe. Thanks a lot.